Friends, imagine stepping back into the smog-choked air of 18th century London, where the scent of high society mingled with the reality of open sewers. You are looking at a pivotal moment in time, a city shedding its medieval skin and emerging as the undisputed heart of a global empire. It was a boom town defined by the contrast between chaos and unimaginable wealth. With over 500,000 people, this was the crucible that forged the modern city we know today. We are about to step back nearly 300 years and experience these scenes as Londoners once did. This extraordinary panorama captures the city of London from a bird's eye view in the mid-18th century, looking up the River Thames from what would later become the site of Tower Bridge. We are witnessing the very heartbeat of Georgian London, which was then the world's largest port and the center of global commerce. Dominating the skyline is Sir Christopher Wren's magnificent St. Paul's Cathedral. Completed in 1710, it was the crowning achievement after the Great Fire of 1666 destroyed the medieval city. The very existence of St. Paul's with its grand dome was a testament to London's resurgence. To the right, you can see the monument to the Great Fire, standing as a permanent reminder of the catastrophe that reshaped the city. It's a powerful image, but one that perhaps touches upon the darker side of Georgian London, where the destruction of the old city paved the way for the new. The Thames is crowded with sailing ships and rowing boats. This river was London's commercial highway, teeming with trade from across the British Empire. Notice the famous Old London Bridge, which is still lined with houses and shops, just as it had been for centuries. This incredible view captures London at the height of its Georgian prosperity, transforming from a dense, medieval city into the capital of an emerging global superpower. The city's energy, the constant flow of goods, people, and money is palpable in this moment. Every ship arriving or departing was a thread in the vast tapestry of Britain's global ambition. It gives us a real glimpse into the immense scale of the city's trade. Next, we arrive at the south bank of the Thames, looking across at the Tower of London, Britain's most formidable fortress. The water you see before us once served as both its moat and its main highway for over 700 years. The tower controlled access to the city of London from the river. Its imposing stone walls were an unmistakable statement of royal power. The White Tower, the massive Norman keep at the heart of the complex, was begun by William the Conqueror starting in 1078, using carved stone imported from France. By this period, the tower served multiple roles simultaneously: a royal palace, a prison, an armory, the royal mint, and the treasury for the crown jewels. The waterfront here was the main entrance for prisoners arriving by barge, passing through Traitors' Gate, a chilling name given its history. Among those who entered here were Anne Boleyn and Sir Thomas More, prior to their executions. It's a dark, compelling history, and this spot captures the gravity of the crown's authority. Looking down the river, the various sailing vessels remind us this was London's commercial artery, with everything from royal barges to merchant ships passing beneath the tower's watchful gaze. This dual nature, a symbol of protection and a tool of brutal power, is what made the tower such an enduring landmark. Imagine standing in the bustling courtyard of the Royal Exchange in the 18th century, a single, magnificent space where global commerce converged. Founded by Sir Thomas Gresham in 1565 and modelled on the Antwerp Bourse, this was England's first purpose-built trading center. Merchants from across the globe gathered in this open-air courtyard. Twice daily, their trading sessions marked by the ringing of the bell in the tower above. Picture this: deals being shouted in dozens of languages, the rustle of bills of exchange, the scratch of quills on contracts. This daily gathering was intense, noisy, and absolutely vital. The arcaded walkways on multiple levels housed shops selling luxury goods, books, and maps. Remarkably, Lloyd's of London operated their insurance business from these very galleries, making sure that the vast wealth represented by the ships on the Thames was protected. This single building transformed London into a financial superpower, the prototype that would inspire stock exchanges from New York to Hong Kong. The Royal Exchange was the pounding economic heart of Georgian London, where the fate of the British Empire was often decided. This is Cheapside, a bustling commercial thoroughfare in Georgian London. Its name comes from the Old English word cheap, meaning marketplace, and for centuries, this was where fortunes were made. The elegant steeple rising above the street belongs to St. Marylebone, Sir Christopher Wren's masterpiece, rebuilt after the Great Fire. Those famous bow bells were so significant that they defined what it was like to live in 18th century London. Anyone born within their sound could claim the proud title of a true Cockney. Down this wide avenue, merchants sold everything from silks and jewelry to books and spices. The rows of shops lining both sides were among the most expensive retail premises in the world. This wasn't just a street. It was the Oxford Street and Wall Street of the 18th century rolled into one. It was here that London's merchant class built their empires, one transaction at a time. The continuous movement of carriages and pedestrians, the clamor of commerce, and the display of wealth were all concentrated here, creating an atmosphere of relentless ambition and opportunity. This view of St. James's Square in the mid-18th century represents the very pinnacle of aristocratic London, and one of the capital's most exclusive addresses developed in the 1660s. This square attracted the wealthiest nobility in England, dukes, earls, and even prime ministers competed for residences here. What you are seeing is the result of royal gardener Charles Bridgeman's transformation of the square in the 1720s. He installed the elegant, circular basin, 150 feet wide, which was surrounded by 8 stone obelisks bearing lamps and enclosed by ornamental ironwork. Before Bridgman's intervention, the square had been, in the words of residents, rude and in great disorder, muddy, neglected, and frankly embarrassing for such prestigious addresses. This restoration transformed it into a place of refined elegance. In the distance, the spire of St. James's Church rises, a landmark for the elite residents. For a brief period, this was the absolute center of London high society. Within decades, however, this square would transition from residential grandeur to the clubs, businesses, and institutions that occupy these buildings today, preserving its status as a symbol of establishment power. Though in a different form, let us return to Leicester Square, another example of the elegant squares that rose in the West End. This engraving shows us the square surrounded by grand townhouses, one of London's most fashionable residential addresses. The grand building dominating the center is Leicester House, built in 1635 for the Earl of Leicester and later home to several members of the royal family. The square became a magnet for artistic genius. William Hogarth lived and worked at number 31 on the right, marked by a bust of Van Dyck above his door. Directly opposite, at number 47, Sir Joshua Reynolds would establish his portrait studio in 1760, painting the era's most influential figures. The proximity of these two artistic giants and the same elegant square highlights the cultural vibrancy of the West End. Though we see an elegancy now, the street, heavy with mud in this reconstructed view, reveals the environmental realities of the time, the chaotic blend of high society, and the unpaved conditions that often accompanied it. This is a moment that hints at the dark side of Georgian London, where even the wealthiest neighborhoods struggled with infrastructure. Nonetheless, the architecture here with its strong lines and balanced design perfectly illustrates the shift towards Georgian elegance. We have walked the muddy streets, smelled the smoke on the docks, and stood with the aristocracy, all brought to life through the meticulous detail of these historical engravings and paintings. These stunning reconstructions are more than just snapshots of the past. They are an invitation into history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Georgian London, please take a moment to click the like button. Your support helps me to unearth more incredible stories from the past. And for more extensive journeys into history, be sure to subscribe to The Sleeping Historian. We'll see you in the past.